Experts have said that close mixing for parties and gatherings combined with weakening immunity due to the time last vaccinations were issued across the board will be a factor. There are also concerns of the prominence of new Omicron strains. Should we be cautious with our behaviour this bank holiday weekend? Let's move Professor Denis Kinane, who's immunologist at the University of Glasgow. Denis, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ian.
Nice to have you with us. So, I mean, I was being slightly facetious at the beginning there. Do you remember COVID? It's almost as if it didn't exist now.
Yeah, just because we've decided that it's endemic doesn't mean it's not a pandemic or it doesn't have the capability of being a pandemic again.
That's the point, isn't it? The last point there. We might be dealing with a different variant and most people are getting, you know, the sniffles and the odd cough and all the rest of it. So that's great. We've moved, but things can go into reverse. Things could get worse. Is that the warning?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, I think that I don't see it with the current variants, Ian, but I think that this mixing that we're going to be doing this weekend is going to actually make a big difference in terms of transmission. And many of us have had the booster, say, 6 months ago. Our immunity starting to wane, and therefore we're open to new infections. The immunity that we got in the past will only really stop us getting ill or seriously ill from the variant, but it won't actually stop us passing it on to others. And we may pass it on to some more vulnerable people than ourselves.
It's interesting you say that, because I was having this discussion, Dennis, just the other day with somebody about, you know, if you didn't have the booster, then the chances are you have no immunity right now.
Yeah, I mean, you would have some from previous variants and also from the immunizations you had prior, but it would probably be enough to save the vast amount of people in terms of disease, but it's not actually going to prevent you potentially catching disease. It could be damaging, but also mainly to pass it on. I mean, Ian, I think there's one issue that really worries me right now, and that's actually what's happening in China. I think what we're seeing in China is this zero COVID policy that they're having. Essentially, they don't have enough. They don't have enough immunity. They don't have enough vaccinations in their community. And again, we may see some new strains coming out of China over the next few months, particularly, you know, with the failures of their zero COVID policy.
Yeah, and you would have thought that China would, you know, of all countries, whatever faults it may have as a regime and as a political system, you know, the one thing they usually are on top of is the efficiency ticket, and you might think that China would have had this thing sorted.
Yeah, I mean, I think China's gone for the zero COVID, and it's nigh on impossible with the Omicron variant. It's so infectious. I mean, you just need to walk past somebody and almost be able to smell their breath, and then you would catch COVID from them. So it's very transmissible. They have a very, let's say, naive population in terms of the virus, and you know, very low amounts of vaccination in the elderly, and really it's a problem that could just get out of control. If China gets out of control in terms of you know, the virus, then the variants are going to be multiplying, and we could see some new variants in, you know, late summer.
What do you say to people who will be, you know, rolling their eyes at this, saying, oh, my goodness, here comes another purveyor of doom. He might be an immunologist, but, you know, come on, we've been locked down. We've got through it. We'll get it. It's kind of like a bad flu, and it's not desirable, but it's not going to kill most of us. So what? Let's move on. We've got to learn to live with this. That's usually the phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be more in agreement with them than against them, quite frankly. I mean, I think we've been through a really tough 2 years, and we really got to start learning to live with the virus. But we do still have to be careful. We still have to make obvious, you know, safety precautions, such as wearing masks in really crowded places and not really taking chances, and particularly not taking chances with the very vulnerable, that is the old and the already ill individuals. I think we've got to keep our eye on this. I do not want to see another variant. Nobody wants to see another variant coming over the hill, but we've got to keep and be aware of it. We didn't see Omicron coming, and neither did we see Delta coming. So I'm not trying to be a harbinger of doom. What I'm really saying is, like, let's be sensible about this, and let's just make, you know, obvious precautions that will actually keep us all safe.
Which sounds fair enough. And in China at the moment, do we know what the variant is there? Is it the same Omicron variant that we've been dealing with? Is that more or less what's happening in China?
We're limited in information. What we do believe is that Omicron, we don't know how much BA1, BA2 is involved. BA2 is quite different from BA1 in the way it spreads and the way it actually has in terms of infectious periods. So we've got to watch out for that. BA4 and BA5 are coming up over the horizon, and we're going to learn more about that in the time going forward. We're actually getting less information, Ian, quite frankly, right now, because we're not doing as much testing. And that is a thing that we're probably going to have to think about, whether we should be doing better population screening and better surveillance of the population to determine what's going on with respect to who's currently catching COVID and what the levels are.
This weekend, of course, is going to be a busy weekend. I know you Scots love to stick your Union Jack hat on and doff your cap to the Queen. So yeah. I mean, the question is, there's going to be a lot of street parties. There's going to be a lot of people out. There's a lot of events and functions. I mean, serious point, Denis. I mean, what are we advising here? Should people change their behaviour?
I think just be careful and be sensible. And just on the point of Scotland, we're actually very fond of the Queen. And Balmoral's in Scotland.
Of course it is. Her favourite place to be, yes.
Yeah, but no, we have to be. We have to continue to be careful. Don't be crazy. Don't be silly. There are obvious places where we're actually going to catch COVID if it's around, and there's a lot of us that it's been a long time since we've had the booster. So let's wear a mask if it's sensible. Obviously, if we're in outdoor spaces and we're in people we normally interact with, there's not much of a risk there. But let's just be careful. Yeah.